You know what feels fucking amazing? Not having a 37-step morning routine. I drink my coffee before my breakfast, missing a workout sometimes, and having pizza night with my family and not feeling 1 ounce of guilt or stress about it. This is not Instagram, ladies. This is real life. When you do the work, and I mean the right work, body freedom feels like the sun coming out after a long, gray January and February. It's not dramatic. It's not obvious. It's the gray that's been there for so long until one day you realize the sky is actually blue and you forgot that it could look that way. That is what I am here to talk about today. My name is Michele Scarlet. I am a board-certified functional medicine practitioner, and I specialize in giving women body freedom. When you do the right work, a smaller pant size is the side effect. When you do the right work, you don't need a perfect morning routine or else your hormones go crazy like everybody says on Instagram. When you do the right work, all of the food noise, the supplement noise, and the body hacks disappear and you get to just live. You're not a before and after photo. You get body freedom. The kind where you wake up and your body feels like yours, where you move through your day and you're actually in it, not watching it through a series of to-do lists. Drink water, check. 10K steps, check. More protein, check. Meditate, check. Where you can drink all your coffee whenever the hell you want, eat at a restaurant without doing the math in your head, or the scale creeping up the next morning, and still look and feel the most capable, alive version of yourself. That is what I do. That's what I've built in my life and my whole practice around. And today, I want to tell you how I got here. So let me tell you a story. There's this photo of me from about 10 years ago. It was at Christmas time at my aunt's house with all of my family around. I don't remember a lot from that day, but I do remember feeling that little feeling in my gut. Maybe we call it anxiety or embarrassment. It was all around, what do I wear? Will I be able to find something to eat that won't immediately leave me feeling bloated or worse, make me fall off track for a couple of weeks, especially through the holidays? I went with a baggy sweater, by the way, subconsciously needing to hide the body that I felt so uncomfortable to even step outside my home in. My face in that photo was so puffy. I looked tired. And even though I knew my family wouldn't outwardly say anything to me, were they thinking it? Were they thinking, man, what happened to Michele? I thought she was the healthy one. That constant chatter in my head around gaining that 25 pounds seemingly overnight. Did people notice it? How come I couldn't get it off? I was in the frame of mind that I needed to eat as few calories as possible, but still call it healthy. So I ate in big volume, big salads, no calories, cucumbers, tomatoes, that kind of thing, egg whites. Which, by the way, is not a strategy. It's very much starvation. So I don't remember a lot about that day. Just that image, just that photo, and the constant negative self-chatter that came before that photo was taken. And when I look at that picture now, I think two things. One, well, she looks like she has it all together. She looks happy. She's smiling. And two, she has absolutely no idea what is already happening inside of her body. Because that picture was taken right around the time I started noticing the thing that I didn't have a name for yet. The thing that wasn't exactly a symptom, not something I could bring to my doctor and describe it in a sentence, just a shift, something that had been there reliably for my entire adult life, something that had been so quiet and it was starting to get louder. I want to try my best to describe it accurately for you because I think the accurate description matters more than this some dramatic one. It wasn't burnout. Burnout wasn't acceptable to me. I proudly labeled myself as a driven, ambitious, type A woman, a survivor, but not in a victim way, I'll push through anything and I'll be fine. This feeling that I had was kind of the opposite. It was a kind of flatness, like someone had turned down the contrast in my life. I wasn't sad. I definitely didn't feel broken. I wasn't even particularly tired, just less. I was operating at about 80% of myself and really, I felt like I couldn't locate the other 20. I was on autopilot. Day in and day out, the same things that used to bring me happiness and joy just kind of felt flat. Of course, I put on a happy face when I saw others. The picture where I looked like I had it all together, I looked happy. I was still doing everything. I was running the business. I was working out. I was eating well. I was showing up. From the outside, honestly, It looked like I had it all. And from the inside, it felt like I was doing all of it from behind a mask. So naturally, I did what I always do when I didn't feel myself. I added more. More workouts, cleaner eating, earlier alarm clocks, a new supplement stack, a gratitude journal that I kept for 11 days before I started writing the same fucking thing every morning, because I had genuinely run out of new feelings and I was just trying to maintain the streak. I was not half-assing my effort. I want to be really clear. I was applying the same level of discipline and follow through to fixing this flatness that I really applied to everything in life. And it was working about as well as pushing a car that had no gas. Nothing was moving. And the most disorienting thing was that nothing I was doing was like wrong. The workouts weren't bad. The food wasn't bad. The sleep habits, the supplements, the whole routine from the outside looked like an amazing wellness plan that I would have given to anyone who wanted to lose weight and feel better. It just wasn't touching anything. I remember my husband asking me how my day was one evening, and I gave him a completely accurate rundown. What happened at work that day, what I had for lunch, and I remember thinking, while I was talking, I sound totally fine. This was a fine day. Why does a fine day feel like nothing? I didn't really say that part out loud. I just said, I'm good. I found that what it felt like was that I just kept waiting for the thing that would make it all click. The supplement, the program, the right combination of habits, this season of life to change. Friends kept telling me this was just me getting older. I kept telling myself it'll sort itself out when things slow down. But of course, things didn't slow down. The feeling didn't change. I had my character completely down. Michele Scarlet, personal trainer at the time, business owner, wife. I knew every line. I could execute her with my eyes closed. I had been executing her perfectly for years through launches and relationships, through all of it for over a decade. But the distance between the performance I put on every day and the actual person underneath it had grown so slowly and so quietly that I hadn't even noticed until I was standing in my kitchen one morning at 6 a.m., completely alone inside of myself, wondering, when did that happen? Now, I'm a problem solver. I'm a practitioner. I find what's wrong and I fix it. That is just the way I'm wired. So I stopped asking what I was doing wrong and started asking something different. What is my body actually trying to tell me? That one shift in the question from wrong to purposeful is what changed everything, because the answer was not what I expected. Your body runs on stress hormone called cortisol. I'm sure you've heard it. It's a huge buzzword. Everyone knows it. Most people think the problem is having too much of it. Elevated cortisol, wired and anxious, can't sleep. But that's just stage one. What I was seeing in myself and what I now see in virtually every high achieving woman I ever work with, I never see elevated cortisol. Not once. I see tanked cortisol, depleted, flatlined, adrenal glands that have been running on high demand for years and have quietly, intelligently started to ration its energy. And here is what made my jaw drop when I understood it. Cortisol and sex hormones, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, are built from the same raw material, the same precursor. When your body is in sustained demand for cortisol, it prioritizes that production over everything else. It literally diverts resources away from hormones responsible for desire, mood, drive, mental sharpness, and the feeling of being yourself. It is not a malfunction. It is a hierarchy, a survival first. Everything else waits. So the flatness wasn't a character flaw. The missing drive wasn't weakness. The body that felt like a stranger, it wasn't just getting older. It was my system doing the only thing it knew how to do, which was protect me. And every single thing I had been doing to fix it, the harder workouts, the tighter eating, the earlier alarms, the pushing through, was another withdrawal from the account that was already at zero. I had been strong-arming a system that needed something completely different from me. Nothing was wrong with me. My body was acting exactly as it should. Now I finally had the right roadmap to fix it. The other side of this didn't feel like some huge transformation for me. I just want to say that clearly because I think transformations are a little bit of a lie and AI can create anything. My experience was more like the lights came back on in a room that had been dimmed for so long that you'd forgotten it was actually supposed to be bright. The energy came back first, quietly, not a dramatic morning where everything was different, More like noticing at the end of the day that I hadn't been dragging all day, that I was present in conversations, that things that had been static for months had gone quiet. Then the drive came back. The genuine interest in my own life, waking up and having something to move toward instead of just a list to execute. And then the thing I haven't talked about publicly until recently, because it's the most honest signal I have. My husband plays golf on Sundays in the summer. He comes home after 18 holes, a little sunburned, probably needs a shower, and I have a very specific way I know where I am hormonally and metabolically and energetically by how I look at him when he walks in the door. When I'm depleted, under eating, overtraining, running on empty, I look at him and think, ew, dude, go shower. Go stand somewhere else. I've got nothing to give you. But when I am full, when I've actually feel resourced, I've given myself all the food that I need. I've given myself the sleep, the recovery. I've targeted those root causes. I've balanced my hormones. I'm thinking, hey, baby, what you doing right now? Not to mention when I finally give myself the resources I need, the weight falls off. The inflammation disappears. My six-pack, it comes back. 3 kids later, including twins, I run a multi-six-figure business, a household, a full team that I manage. And according to the world, I am not supposed to have the bandwidth for any of this. And yet I do. I'm thriving. At 40, I'm more energetic than I've ever been. I am more fulfilled by my life than I ever have been. And that is what body freedom actually means to me. Not a perfect morning routine with 17 steps and a cold plunge at 5 a.m. It is the version of yourself who is lit up enough to be present in her own life and actually feel it, to want things, to look at her husband after golf and think, hey, baby, what you doing? To trust my body will keep me at an appropriate weight for me, to trust that I can digest any food that I eat, to trust that I can be calm and loving even when frustrated with my kids. That version exists. She came back. She came back not because I pushed her harder, but because I finally understood what was happening inside of my body and how to support her. I recorded this episode because I have told the long story short version of this story so many times. Twins, business, I figured it out. That version is true. It's also not the one that matters. The one that matters is the kitchen at 6 a.m., the protein shake, the thought I'd never had before, the performance I didn't know I was giving until I couldn't feel it anymore. I'm here because I did the work. I am here because I went through the shit. Yes, sometimes it sucks at first. And then all of a sudden it feels amazing. I am here because the most useful thing I can give you isn't a protocol. It's the thing that came before the protocol. The moment someone said out loud in a way that wasn't clinical, it wasn't listicle, it wasn't 10 tips for better energy. This is what's actually happening. And this is what it actually feels like. And you are not imagining it and you're not broken. And this is fixable. You can have it all and you can feel absolutely amazing while doing it. And that's what I wanted to give you today. So if there was a moment during this podcast episode where you thought, man, I haven't said that to anyone either, that flatness, then you already know exactly what I'm talking about. It's more than weight loss. It's more than sex with your husband. It's more than running a 6-figure business. It's about living your life as the absolute best version of you because it's in there. And why the hell wouldn't you want it? I'll see you next week.